Hello, reader, and thank you for joining me for another spelling lesson. This week, we are in MyView Literacy, Unit 2, Lesson 5. Our story is Animal Mimics, and our skill for the week in spelling is Latin roots. Our Latin roots, last week we did Greek roots, so this week we're moving on to Latin roots. Roots, as we said then, or root words, are words or word parts that have their own meaning. Many of these cannot stand on their own, and they need a prefix or suffix to complete it. The roots we're learning this week are going to be Terr, which means land, Rupt, which means break, Tract, which means drag or pull, aqua, which means water, and dict, which means say. Now, just like last week, I'm going to go over every single prefix, suffix, root, everything and every word we look at today, which makes this a little bit heavier. But it does give us an understanding of how words are put together and what they mean. We are still going to follow our same routine that we always do. We're going to say the word. We're going to count the syllables. We'll say the word again. We're going to spell the word. Of course, we smash it in our class. And then we're going to write the word, and then we're going to circle the pattern. On this one, it would not be dis. It would actually be tract, because tract is our suffix, our root. So, with that, let's get started. Our first word is distract. Say distract. Distract uses the Latin root tract, which means drag or pull, with the prefix dis, which means apart, which means and or away. So, to distract means to drag or pull away, usually your attention. Let's count the syllables. Distract. Distract. Let's spell it. D-I-S-T-R-A-C-T. Distract. Let's write it. And as usual, I will spell it out loud so you don't have to look at the screen the whole time. D-I-S-T-R-A-C-T. And we're going to circle the Latin root tract. The loud music began to distract or divert my attention from finishing my homework. Our next word is attract. Say attract. Attract also uses the Latin word tract, which means drag or pull, with the prefix at, which means toward. So attract means to pull toward. Let's count the syllables. Attract. Attract. Let's spell it. A-T-T-R-A-C-T. Attract. Let's write it. A-T-T-R-A-C-T. And then let's circle that Latin root. Of course, it's still tract. The bright flowers attract bees, while the dark and dull ones tend to repel them. Our next word is distraction. Say distraction. Distraction also uses the Latin word root tract, which means drag or pull away, with the prefix dis, which means apart or away. But it also adds the suffix shun or ion, I-O-N, which means the action of. So a distraction is something that's in the act of dragging or pulling away. Again, usually our attention. Let's count the syllables. Distraction. Distraction. Let's spell it. D-I-S-T-R-A-C-T-I-O-N. Distraction. Let's write it. D-I-S-T-R-A-C-T-I-O-N. And of course that T-I makes that sh sound. Let's circle our Latin root tract again. The loud noise outside caused the distraction, which is something that takes your focus away from what you're doing. Our next word is erupt. Say erupt. Erupt combines the Latin root rupt, which means break, and the prefix e, which means out. So erupt means to break out. Count the syllables. Erupt. Erupt. Let's spell it. E-R-U-P-T. Erupt. And let's write it. E-R-U-P-T. And of course, our Latin root this time, do you remember? It's rupt. The volcano began to erupt or explode, sending ash and lava high into the sky. Our next word is eruption. Say eruption. Eruption combines the Latin root rupt, which means break, the prefix e, which means out, and the suffix ion, which means the action of. So an eruption means the act of breaking or busting out suddenly. Count the syllables. Eruption. Eruption. Let's spell it. E-R-U-P-T-I-O-N. Eruption. And let's write it. E-R-U-P-T-I-O-N. And of course we have that same Latin root, rupt. The eruption or violent bursting of the volcano sent ash and lava flying into the sky. Our next word is disrupt. Say disrupt. Disrupt combines the Latin root rupt, which still means break, and the prefix dis, which means apart or away. So disrupt means to break up or interrupt. Count the syllables. Disrupt. Disrupt. Let's spell it. D-I-S-R-U-P-T. Disrupt. Let's write it. D-I-S-R-U-P-T. And we're still going to circle that Latin root, rupt. The teacher worked hard to keep the classroom calm and orderly so nothing could disrupt the peaceful environment. Our next word is interrupt. Say interrupt. Interrupt combines the Latin root rupt, which means break, and the prefix inter, which means between or among. So interrupt means to break up something between two or more people. I'm sure you can think about a time you were interrupted. Somebody broke something up between the two of you. Let's count the syllables. Interrupt. Interrupt. Let's spell it. I-N-T-E-R-R-U-P-T. Interrupt. And let's write it. I-N-T-E-R-R-U-P-T. We're going to circle that Latin root rupt again. The teacher had to interrupt or halt the class discussion when the fire alarm suddenly came on. That fire alarm probably interrupted too. The next word is territory. Say territory. Territory combines the Latin root ter, which means land, and the suffix tori, which means a place or area. So a territory is an area of land. Let's count the syllables. Ter-ri-tor-i. Territory. Let's spell it. T-E-R-R-I-T-O-R-Y. Territory. Let's write it. T-E-R-R-I-T-O-R-Y. And let's circle that prefix or that root, ter. The wolves defended their territory or area of land from any other animals that tried to enter it. Our next word is territorial. Say territorial. Territorial combines the Latin root ter, which means land, the word part I-T-O-R-I, which means possession or control, and the suffix ol, A-L, which means related to or pertaining to. So territorial means relating to the ownership or control of land or area. Count the syllables. Ter-ri-to-ri-ol. Territorial. Let's spell it. T-E-R-R-I-T-O-R-I-A-L. Territorial. Let's write it. T-E-R-R-I-T-O-R-I-A-L. O-R-I-A-L. We're still going to circle our root Terr. Unlike the territorial lion that fiercely defends its land, the friendly deer is more non-possessive and doesn't claim any particular space as its own. Our next word is terrain. Say terrain. Terrain combines the Latin root ter, which means land, and the suffix ain, A-I-N, which creates a noun. So a terrain refers to the physical features of a specific area of land. Count the syllables. Terrain. Terrain. Let's spell it. T-E-R-R-A-I-N. Terrain. And let's write it. T-E-R-R-A-I-N. And let's circle that Latin root ter. The rocky terrain or landscape made it difficult for us to hike smoothly through the mountains. Our next word is traction. Say traction. Traction uses the Latin root tract, which means drag or pull, and the suffix ion, which means a process or result of an action. So traction refers to the grip or pulling force that allows something to move smoothly or stay in place. We'll add that word means so we don't confuse anybody. Our next word, count the syllables. Traction. Traction. Let's spell it. T-R-A-C-T-I-O-N. Traction. And let's write it. T-R-A-C-T-I-O-N. Of course, let's circle our Latin root tract. The car's tires lost traction, which is the grip they need on the road, causing it to skid on the icy surface. The next word is abstract. Say abstract. Abstract also uses the Latin root tract, which means drag or pull, and the prefix ab, which means away from. So abstract means something that is not concrete or tangible, but exists in thought or as an idea. It pulls away from the normal. Let's count the syllables. Abstract. Abstract. Let's spell it. A-B-S-T-R-A-C-T. Abstract. And write it. A-B-S-T-R-A-C-T. Of course, let's circle our Latin word tract. The painting was very abstract, meaning it didn't represent real objects, but was more about ideas and emotions. Our next word is aquatic. Say aquatic. Aquatic uses the Latin root aqua, which means water, and the suffix tic, which means related to or pertaining to. So aquatic refers to something that is related to or lives in water. Let's count the syllables. Aquatic. Aquatic. And let's spell it. A-Q-U-A-T-I-C. Aquatic. And let's write it. A-Q-U-A-T-I-C. And let's circle that Latin root aqua again. Dolphins are aquatic animals, meaning they are water-dwelling creatures that spend most of their times in the ocean. Our next word is aquamarine. Say aquamarine. Aquamarine uses the Latin root aqua, which means water, and the suffix marine, which means of the sea. So aquamarine, which we know is a color, is a blue-green color resembling the clear water of the sea. Let's count the syllables. Aquamarine. Aquamarine. Let's spell it. A-Q-U-A-M-A-R-I-N-E. Aquamarine. And let's write it. A-Q-U-A-M-A-R-I-N-E. A-R-I-N-E. And let's circle our Latin root aqua. The aquamarine water of the tropical beach was vibrant and clear, unlike the murky rivers we had seen earlier. Our next word is aquarium. Say aquarium. Aquarium uses the Latin root aqua, which means water, and the suffix rium, which means a place or space. So an aquarium is a place where aquatic animals and plants are kept and displayed. Let's count the syllables again. Aquarium. Let's spell it. A-Q-U-A-R-I-U-M. Aquarium. And let's write it. A-Q-U-A-R-I-U-M. And of course, let's circle aqua again. Aqua. The aquarium, a place where fish and other sea creatures live in tanks of water, was filled with colorful coral and exotic fish. Our next word is abrupt. Say abrupt. Abrupt uses the Latin root rupt, which means break, and the prefix a, which makes an adjective. So abrupt means a sudden and unexpected break, often in a way that's surprising and unpleasant. Let's count the syllables. Abrupt. Abrupt. Let's spell it. A-B-R-U-P-T. Abrupt. And let's write it. A-B-R-U-P-T. And of course, we're going to circle rupt again. The meeting ended in an abrupt manner, catching everyone off guard and leaving them puzzled about what had just happened. Our next word is diction. Say diction. Diction uses the Latin root dict, which means say, and the suffix ion, which means the act of. So diction is the act or use of words and phrases in speech and writing. Let's count the syllables. Diction. Diction. Let's spell it. D-I-C-T-I-O-N. Diction. Let's write it. D-I-C-T-I-O-N. And we're going to circle our Latin root dict. Although her formal diction was impressive and articulate, his slang made him sound more casual and laid back during the conversation. Our next word is dictionary. Say dictionary. Dictionary uses the Latin root dict, which means say, the suffix ion, which means the act of, like diction, and the suffix ary, which means related to or connected with. So a dictionary is a book that lists words of language along with their meanings and pronunciations. Let's count the syllables. Dic-tion-er-y. Should be 4 there. I'll fix that. Let's say it. Well, we just said it. Let's spell it. D-I-C-T-I-O-N-A-R-Y. Dictionary. Let's write it. D-I-C-T-I-O-N-A-R-Y. Let's circle our pattern dict. A dictionary is a reference book that provides definitions of words, helping readers understand their meanings and correct spellings. Our next word is dictate. Say dictate. Dictate combines the Latin root dict, which means say, and the verb forming suffix, which means to make, or to perform the action of. So dictate means to speak. Count the syllables. Dictate. Dictate. Let's spell it. D-I-C-T-A-T-E. Dictate. And let's write it. D-I-C-T-A-T-E. And of course, let's circle that Latin root dict. In reading class, we would dictate words to sound out so we could improve our spelling. Our next word is verdict. Say verdict. Verdict uses the Latin root dict, which means say, and the prefix ver, which means truth. So a verdict is a spoken truth. Count the syllables. Verdict. Verdict. Spell it. V-E-R-D-I-C-T. Verdict. Let's write it. V-E-R-D-I-C-T. Of course, we're going to circle dict again. After hours of deliberation, the jury finally reached a verdict, which is their official decision on the case, declaring the defendant guilty of the charges. That's our last word. It was a long video. Thank you for sticking around to the very end. And until next week, happy reading.